So now that we have seen the reason, how can we fix bad input? How can we prevent? That is the word. How can we prevent bad input? How can we prevent? Okay, how can we prevent bad input? So there are several approaches that people use in order to prevent bad input. Are we together, guys? So I'm just going to show you one of the approaches. This is as far as C++ is concerned. If you are using another programming language, there could be other approaches there. So I'm just going to show you one of the approaches. Okay, so one approach that people use is that people they try, okay, they try to read input as a string. Okay, they try to read input from the user as what? As a string. Then thereafter they try to convert that input to their numeric data type. You see, if it fails, if the conversion fails, they display an error, and then they may either terminate the program, or just re-ask the user to enter again. Are we together, guys? So this is the approach that people normally use. Okay, so this is one of the approaches that people use, okay, which I'm going to demonstrate. So there are other approaches that they use, but this is one of them. Okay, it is also quite common. Are we together? So they try to read an input. Okay, they try to take an input from the user as a string. So they store it as a string. They take the input, but they store it inside a string variable. And then after they do that, they now try to convert that input into their numeric data type. So if their data type is double, they try to convert it into double. If their data type is an integer, they try to convert that string into an integer. If the conversion fails, then they know it is because what the user entered is not an integer. That is why the conversion is failing. So at that particular moment, they just display an error, and then depending on what they want, they may choose to terminate the program, or they may choose to ask the user to enter again. You get my point? So let us try that. Let us try that approach. Okay, so let us come here. Okay, so for us, let us just tell the user to enter again. Okay, so we're going to do something like this. We're going to say enter your age, and then we are going to say string age. Okay, or let's say string user age. Okay, the age of the user. Okay, and then we're going to do something like this. Let me first do the simple approach. The simple approach is to terminate the program, and then later on we are going to change that approach into the one of telling the user to enter again. Are we together? Okay, so we are going to say here string user age, that is the age of the user. Okay, so after that we are going to say cin. So we take whatever value the user has entered. It could be a good value, which is a number, or it could be something which is not even a number. You get my point? So we take that value, and what do? We're going to do this. We're going to save that value into our string. You see? Now the good thing about string is that if the user enters an alphabet, or if the user enters words, it will still be stored as a string. You see, string will not give you any problem. Okay, so in this case, this cin object will not fail. You get my point? And then after doing that, what do you do next? You just do this. You say convert that string into an integer. So you use a function called stoi. stoi. This function means string. Do you see this s? This s means string. This to means 2, and this I means int. This s means string. This to means 2, and this I means int. So you can call it stoi. Okay. So what it means is string to int. So it converts a string into an integer. You get my point? So we are trying to convert a string into an integer. If this function will succeed, then it means what the user entered is something that can be converted to an integer. But if this function will fail, then that is an indication that what the user entered is something that cannot be converted into what? Into an integer. So at that particular moment, we are going to display an error message, and we are going to terminate our program. You get my point? Now, let me tell you something. Here. When this function stoi fails, it will throw a runtime error. It will throw an exception. Do you remember we discussed and we said that runtime errors are also known as exceptions? Okay, so you will see that it will throw an exception. So we are going to tell stoi convert this user age here into an integer. Convert this user age here into an integer. You see. So here, let me take this variable here. Let me take this variable here and put it here. Let me put it here. Okay, you see. Okay, so this is it. You get my point. So that is it. So here I'm going to remove this one here. Okay, all right. So you will see when this function fails, it will throw a runtime error. It will throw an exception because it has failed to convert that input into an integer. You see. So if I run this program, you see, if I enter a good number, the function will work fine. You get my point? It means it has converted that number from initially being a string into now being a number 7. It stored it into int variable age, and then age was less than 12, and so we displayed 7 shillings. So that function worked okay. But you will see, if I enter something else, if I enter G, you see, that function will fail to convert it into an integer, because G cannot be converted into what? Into an integer. So when that function fails, it will throw a runtime error. So you will see here. Okay, can you see? Terminate code after throwing an instance of invalid argument. Do you see? And then it says process returned what? It returned 3. It returned a value which is not 0. Can you see that? Whenever your program returns a value which is not 0, whenever your main function returns a value which is not 0, that is an indication that a runtime error has occurred. It is an indication that an exception has occurred. Are we together? So let us see, can we catch this exception? Can we capture it? Can we catch it? Head over to the next video and let us see how to catch that exception so that we can display a good error message. Thank you for listening. Head over to the next video.